Bring the kids, bring grandma and grandpa, heck, bring everyone and come to the Mesquamaket Springfest in Westerly, May 10th, 11th, and 12th at Mesquamaket State Beach. You'll find an array of great food trucks, arts and craft vendors, games, rides, and a Ferris wheel with panoramic views. Friday night is John Cafferty and the Beaver Brown Band kicking off a weekend of great music on the main stage. It's time for summer at Mesquamaket Beach with Springfest, mesquamaket.org.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are 2 days away from the start of Springfest. My name is Ben Barber, and I could not be more excited to be here with you today. And my guest at this time is from the band One Swift Kick, who have become perennial favorites here in Mesquamaket. He is Sal Polichetti. You may know him as the man behind the song Jesus Is a Friend of Mine. You may know him as a ska legend over in Europe. You may know him as the leader of One Swift Kick, but I know him as a friend who I don't know I have ever met in person actually at the festival, even though he's been here like 5 times. Sal, how are you?
I'm very good, Ben. Very good. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, and thank you for repping the Mesquamaket shirt. We appreciate that. Now, one thing I have to ask, because you've been here so many times, and I was talking to, doing these interviews, and I blame no one here. I blame no one for this. But when I talk to artists from around the country that come here, every single one of them says Mesquamaket a different way, and then I try to gently, I never correct them, but I try to gently just respond with, yeah, so we're so happy you're coming to Mesquamaket, just to maybe get that. So can you pronounce the name of our town?
Mesquamaket.
And that's why he's the best.
Is that how do people usually pronounce it?
Mesquamaket. Yeah, they don't know what to do. They don't know what to do, and they go all over the place. So
see, I have a last name that's unusual too, and I tell people you pronounce it just the way it reads. And Mesquamaket, I was a teacher, so that's the way it reads, Mesquamaket.
I agree, but anyway. And then I just say, you can just say Westerly if you're coming. It's fine. So Sal, you've been here, I don't know, 95 times in the last few years.
No, it only seems that way. This is actually, we did 2 fall fests.
Okay.
And this time it's a spring. It's Mesquamaket in the spring.
Is this your first Springfest?
This is the first Springfest, yes.
Okay. Wow. I don't think you've missed a year since we came back from the year hiatus for the pandemic. I don't think you've missed a year since, have you?
Probably not. It was, like I said, this is the 3rd year that I've been there.
So,
actually, reason we keep coming back is I missed the backstage hamburgers.
There you go. The crew does a wonderful job.
Oh, the crew is the best. The sound crew, the stage crew, and the backstage people, they treat. I can't vouch for other bands, but for us, we always get treated wonderfully. Anything we don't make a lot of demands. We have to move some equipment around, but there's never whatever you want, whatever you need. They are the best, and that's why bands sound so good here, because of the crew.
Now, in recent years, we've had the big stage, and the big stage is facing the ocean, which is really cool.
Right.
And it's a lot of. It used to be a little bit of a. At first, it was a really big stage, and then it was a little bit of a smaller stage, and it was it was facing the long way. And I love the setup that we've had for the last few years at the festivals. It feels like a party. We have the beer and wine tent right next to the stage.
Right.
It's so much fun. You're right in between all of the vendors and all of the rides. It's really, the music is at the literal center, at the heart of the festival.
Yep.
And you're closing it out this year, 3 o'clock, 3 to 5 on Sunday, May 12th, which is just a couple of days away. And before we get into your history and have a little bit of the same interview we've done 4 times. I think a couple times have probably been with Caswell, so they're a little different. But what do you think about our little corner of the world?
I love it. I love it. It's funny. My mother-in-law, uh, every year she rents a house for a couple of months in Long Beach Island, which is in New Jersey. And we were there about a month and a half ago. My wife and I, we went up for a weekend to see her, and we were walking. It's also a beach community, and we're walking around there. And I said to Donna, I says, doesn't this remind you of Misquamicut? The architecture, the whole feel, it's kind of laid back. The architecture is amazing. I love the houses. They're all no cookie cutters. Everything is different, and everyone is so laid back. It's a lot like Long Beach Island, which is a lot closer than Misquamicut.
So that's, I mean, some people say that the Northeast the Northeast coastline all feels the same. It's a little bit different, but there are pockets of it where and it's really it's great, and a lot of people say that some parts of New Jersey and Mesquamaket feel very similar to each other, and they love it for all of those same reasons. Let's talk a little bit about your history, because a lot of people may be seeing you for the first time on this platform this year. You rose to accidental superstardom.
Like it was planned.
Yeah. 25 years or so later, an overnight sensation.
It was a long night.
Yeah, it was a long night. You had a band called Sunseed.
Sunseed was a gospel band.
Sunseed was a gospel band. You wrote a song called "Jesus Was a Friend of Mine." Jesus is a friend of mine, which you made a video, and then all of a sudden one day you find out 20 years later it has 14 million views on YouTube.
Well, we didn't actually make the video. We were on a television show. NBC in New York used to have a show on Sunday mornings called The First Estate, Religion in Review. It's kind of like an ecumenical talk show. In fact, the show that we were on, there were someone from the Salvation Army was there discussing their upcoming fundraising things. And there were two young rabbis there who taught the Old Testament using marionettes. They called it Punch-in Judaism. Kind of creepy, actually, but obviously effective. So they had heard that we had made this record, and we were all from Brooklyn, and we were all Catholic, which was not a lot of gospel bands back then were Catholic. Mm-hmm. They wanted us to come on the show and move our lips to a couple of songs from the record. They picked the songs. When we got there, and they told us, that's why we look so kitschy in the video, they told us how to dress. That video is from the show.
Yeah.
They told us how to dress. They told us what to wear, and we got there, and they said, "Okay, we're going to start the show with that Jesus is a Friend of Mine song." And okay, fine, whatever. And it went as well as could. We sounded great because all we were doing was moving our lips to the record. And that was in 1982. The group broke up at the end of 83 and forgot all about it. It was a nice memory. A lot of the people from that group are not with us any longer. So it was so the memories are really great. And about 2009 or 2010, somebody had gotten a video of that TV show and put it on YouTube. And actually, Doug Principali from California, he had a blog, like a trivia blog, or Where Are They Now thing. Well, he used to live in Brooklyn. And years ago, when that show first aired, a priest friend of his who taped the show on a VHS tape gave him the tape and says, "You got to look at this. This is great." Well, in 2009, he was looking for stuff to put on his Where Are They Now stuff, and he found the tape. No introduction. He gave it no introduction. He just put it on his blog site, and it just blew up. People were arguing who thought it was fake, who thought it was real, because the way we were dressed, obviously, and the haircuts and all that stuff. Remember Hair? Yeah, I know. Anyway, I logged on as a YouTube. Someone took it off his blog and put it on YouTube. Well, I logged in as a YouTube user and said, "Yeah, it's real. I'm the guy. It was 30 something years ago," and it just went right, bang, right through the roof, right through the roof, and ever since then, it's been crazy. It's a ringtone. I'm a meme, I think, somewhere.
Yeah.
And then the international thing, how that came about was in 2014. I get an email from a guy in England, Paul Williams. He says, "Hi, I'm in England, and your song is very big here." Something which I didn't understand until a few years ago, and I'll get to that in a minute.
Yep.
And he says, "We have a charity ska festival. This is our third year here. We can't pay you, but we'd love to have you come, and all the bands here know your song. I'm sure we can get somebody to back you up." So I said, "This is crazy. I'm not going to go. No one's going to know who I am in England. This is crazy." But then I told my sister Joanne, who is in fact coming this weekend. She says she's coming on Friday specifically to hear the John Cafferty band.
Love it.
Which is going to stick around to see us on Sunday, thank God. She said, "You have to go." How do you not go? Now, it's great when you could take advice from a younger sibling. She says, "You have to realize, Sal, the things we regret in life are the things we don't do." I says, "You're absolutely right." She goes, "I'll go with you. I have friends in London, and I'll go." It wasn't in London, but 3-hour bus ride away. And one of my other sisters went, so 3 of us went, and I was blown away that the bands knew who I was, the crowd knew who I was, and I've been back there 6 times since then. And every time I go, I play with a different band, and it's just so much fun. And it wasn't until Paul Williams wrote a book about a tour they did in America in 2019 that I played with them on their last gig, because their bass player had to go back to England. So he called me and I learned all their songs and I played with them. And he wrote a book. And in the book, not only did he do a 4-page summary of Sunseed's history, he must have looked it up, but I finally realized what the attraction was. And it wasn't the religious aspect. Is the fact that when two-tone ska, that's what that's called, that up-tempo ska beat, when that was just getting popular in England, was around 2010. And that's when my video hit. Now, besides the Specials and Madness and all the other bands there, they were blown away by the fact that a guy in America wrote a two-tone ska song in 1981. And they says, "Where did you get that?" I says, "Well, I was listening to the radio in New York. There was a big famous DJ in the 60s and 70s and 80s, Scott Muni, and he was on WNEW FM, and every Friday afternoon he played imports." Now, you younger people don't realize now with the internet, before there was the internet, if you wanted to hear a record that was recorded in England, for example, you had to wait till somebody put the record on a boat or on a plane and flew it over here. But record studios radio stations got everything. So every Friday afternoon, he would play an hour of imports. Things from England was the name of the show. That was the first time we had ever heard Led Zeppelin. It was the first time we had ever heard Jimi Hendrix. It was the first time we had ever heard Abbey Road. In fact, he played, before the album even came out here, he played the entire record from beginning to end. Well, this one particular day in 1981, he played a song by the Selector, "Too Much Pressure." And it was this 3.5 minutes of the same thing. Oh, very repetitive. Too much pressure. Too much pressure. That was it. 3.5 minutes. The same thing over and over again. But it was just so catchy. And I was in a bad mood that day for whatever reason, but I wasn't in a bad mood after I heard that song. And I says, "You know what? I'm going to keep that. I'm going to write a song like that one of these days." Well, then the Sunseed album came up. We were looking for original materials. And that's where Jesus, a friend of mine, came from. And I swear to you, I'm hoping one of these days, someone from the Selector will show up at this ska festival. I'm going to go up to them and say, "This whole thing is your fault. You did it."
Absolutely. I'm you know, and there's so many other things for fans of the TV show Glee. You might be familiar with the show. You might be
Yeah.
familiar with the song. And I know that we've talked about that before, but that must have been a wild experience seeing your show on national television, on Fox, on prime
Oh,
time.
I mean, we were fans of that show anyway because my wife and my kids, we all do musical theater, and my kids at the time, by the way, were in, excuse me, a lot of the high schools around here. I'm sure around the country have those performance groups where they
Yep.
don't move their lips; they actually sing the song and choreograph a dance to it. At the Middletown High School where we are, they're called the Pipers, and both of my kids at different times when they were there were in the Pipers. So we watched that. We loved that show. They called me up about 3 weeks before and said, we like your song. We want to put it on the show. I says, why? Like, what's the premise? The premise was that one of the coaches who was coaching another school found out that one of the judges was a nun. So they wanted to use a religious song to grease the skids a little bit for the nun. And they chose my song. They says, we're not going to pay you until we decide we're going to use it. And if I lived 3,000 miles closer, they would have let me actually go to the taping because I asked about that. But they were in California. I'm in New York. I didn't go. Well, the next day they called me up bright and early and they said, well, it went great. Everybody had a great time. We're using it. The show airs in 2 weeks. 2 weeks. Well, we gathered around the TV waiting for it. And when it played, we just fell off the couch. And they made that Star of David thing at the end. Oh, we thought it was a riot.
That's awesome. Well, I'm excited to have you back. We're going to end with the video to Jesus is a Friend of Mine. Give it 14 million and one views. Sal, you are a great friend to Musquamaket. We love having you here. Before we go, though, I'd love to talk about One Swift Kick.
Absolutely.
Tell me a little bit about, I mean, I know that a lot of people here have seen them, seen you guys. You guys have been here twice before, as we mentioned. But tell me a little bit about One Swift Kick and what people can expect on Sunday.
One Swift Kick, we're a 4-piece band. We play 50s, 60s, 70s. If we play a song that you haven't heard, we're not doing our jobs. And we play songs you know. We play songs you forgot you knew. We play songs you had hoped that you had forgot you know. But all four of us sing, a lot of harmony. We're, like I said, we're all in our the baby in the band is 70 years old. This year has been an incredible year for us. We've never had a year like this. We're working an average of 3 times a month from now until the end of October.
Wow.
I don't know what happened. All of a sudden we blew up. And we always look forward to coming to the festival, and we just can't wait. And like I said, there'll be plenty of room, dance, have a ball, because you know what? If you don't have fun, stay home.
Absolutely.
That's why we do it. So, oh, you guys are old. You still doing it? Because we're having fun, and it shows when we play.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Sal, for being here. I can't wait to see you again on Sunday, to see One Swift Kick. And because of schedules and stuff, I haven't actually met you. I've seen you perform, but I haven't met you off stage at the festival. So we'll remedy that on Sunday this week.
Good. I hope so.
And I can't wait to see you at the beach. So Sal Polichetti, everybody. One Swift Kick, 3 to 5 p.m. closing out the festival Sunday, May 12th. Get your tickets right now, MusquamaKitFestival.org. You can go on Eventbrite and get them. Don't miss it. The entertainment is free with the ticket. Yes, you have to pay for the rides and food and stuff in there, but entertainment is free with the ticket, and well worth the price of admission to see this guy, Sal Polichetti. So thank you, Sal. I appreciate it. I'll see you on Sunday.
You bet. Take care, guys. See you Sunday.
Jesus is a friend of mine.
Jesus is my friend.
Jesus is a friend of mine.
I have a friend in Jesus.
Jesus is a friend of mine.
Jesus is my friend.
Jesus is a friend of mine.
He taught me how to live my life as it should be. He taught me how to turn my cheek when people laugh at me. I've had friends before, and I can tell you that he's one who will never leave you flat.
Jesus is a friend of mine.
Jesus is my friend.
Jesus is a friend of
I
mine.
have a friend in Jesus.
Jesus is a friend of mine.
Jesus is my friend.
Jesus is a friend of mine.
He taught me how to pray and how to save my soul. He taught me how to praise my God and still play rock and roll. The music may sound different, but the message is the same. It's just an instrument to praise his name.
Jesus is a friend of mine.
Jesus is my friend.
Jesus is a friend of
I
mine.
have a friend in Jesus.
Jesus is a friend of mine.
Jesus is a friend of mine.
Jesus is a friend of mine. Jesus is a friend of mine. Jesus is a friend of mine.
Once I tried to run and hide, but Jesus came and found me and he touched me down inside. He is like a Mountie, he always gets his man, and he'll zap you any way he can. Zap.
Jesus is a friend of mine.
Jesus is my friend.
Jesus is a friend of
I
mine.
have a friend in Jesus.
Jesus is a friend of mine.
Jesus is my friend.
Jesus is a friend of mine.
He loves me when I'm right. He loves me when I'm wrong. He loves me when I waste my time by writing silly songs. He loves me when I'm quiet and I have nothing to say. He'll love me when I'm perfect if I ever get that way.
Jesus is a friend of mine.
Jesus is my friend.
Jesus is a friend of
I
mine.
have a friend in Jesus.
Jesus is a friend of mine.
Jesus is my friend.
Jesus is a friend of
I
mine.
have a friend in Jesus.
Jesus is a friend of mine.
Jesus.
Jesus is a friend of mine.
That's terrific, Sal. Thank you very much. Beautiful, beautiful. Well,
Bring the kids, bring Grandma and Grandpa, heck, bring everyone and come to the Mesquamaket Springfest in Westerly, May 10th, 11th, and 12th at Mesquamaket State Beach. You'll find an array of great food trucks, arts and craft vendors, games, rides, and a Ferris wheel with panoramic views. Friday night is John Cafferty and the Beaver Brown Band kicking off a weekend of great music on the main stage. It's time for summer at Mesquamaket Beach with Springfest, Mesquamaket.org.